Home prices in the Seattle area are still going up here in 2025, but despite that, a lot of people are still moving here. In this video, I want to go over the top 5 reasons on why I see people moving to the Seattle area. Now, this is not just conjecture or hypothesis on my part. I've been helping relocation buyers pretty heavily here over the last 5 years transition in a move from out of state here to the Seattle metropolitan area. So these top 5 reasons are the reasons that most of my home buying clients actually tell me on why they've decided to move over here and why that trend just keeps continuing. So let's jump into the top 5 list. All right, so the number 1 reason, I'm gonna rank these from 1 to 5. The number 1 reason, of course, is jobs. Now, ADP recently ranked the hottest job markets in the US, and it ranked Seattle metropolitan as the 4th hottest. According to their study, pay grew 6.5% annually in recent years here in the Seattle metropolitan area. Similarly, US News did a ranking of the best markets in the US to get a new job, and they ranked Seattle as the number 2 location just after San Francisco. So you know we are a major tech hub, a major tech player here in the US, likely the 3rd best tech location outside of San Fran in New York, and we may be moving up that list because more and more companies continue to move over here to the Seattle area. We've got companies like Amazon and Google, we've got Meta, we've got Apple and TikTok, and that's just to name the biggest players. There are a ton of other tech companies here in the Seattle metropolitan area. Now, of course, we're gonna have a ton of biotech companies as well, and we have a great aerospace industry with Boeing, SpaceX, and Blue Origin all here in the Seattle metropolitan area. Outside of tech, biotech, and aerospace, we've got great healthcare opportunities over here with some great cancer research institutes, some great hospitals, high trauma centers, and overall just a ton of healthcare opportunities around here. Of course, we're located on the Puget Sound, so there's a lot of maritime job opportunities as well. And we won't forget the finance jobs in this area as well. So overall, there's a number of very great industries here in the Seattle metropolitan area. Whether you're in Seattle proper or in one of the outlying suburbs like over on the east side, there's going to be a number of some of the highest paying jobs in the US here in the Seattle area. All right, reason number 2, this one's going to surprise you, but it's the weather. Now, you've seen the movies, you've heard the things where people say that Seattle is extremely rainy. It's one of the rainiest and dreariest places in the US you can live, and it's absolutely miserable. A lot of people are actually going to argue with that. A lot of people that live here and have really come to love the weather over here. Now, the whole rain thing, I've said this before on probably 50 other videos here on my channel, but the rain thing is certainly really overhyped. On average, we get about 37 to 38 inches of rain here a year in the Seattle area. The national average is about 38 inches of rain a year as well. So we're right at the national average in terms of total rainfall. There are other states like further down south that get over 60 inches of rain a year. So we're not even close to that total amount of rainfall. Now, the flip side to that is the amount of days with rain and the gray weather, where we are definitely higher on the list for that. And that's more of the issue for some people, is having to go through those darker and drearier months with those cloudy skies, and you're gonna have a lot of misty, drizzly rain that may start in the morning and clear out in the afternoon, but that's gonna be the main thing that some people may struggle with here. The trade-off though for that is that we don't have extreme temperatures or extreme weather events for the most part here in the Seattle metropolitan area. In terms of the temperatures, our coldest months in December, January, and February, those average daily highs are 46 to 48 degrees in those coldest months. Again, that's daily average highs. And then in the warm summer months in July and August, our average daily highs are in the mid to upper 70s. So as you're through the summer, you're gonna have most days, if not all days, are gonna be somewhere between 70 and 85 degrees, completely perfect weather. You're not gonna get rain really in those summer months for the most part. And it's gonna be absolutely perfect weather to be able to enjoy the outdoors every day. It's very rare that we even get above 90 degrees over here. Now, in those colder months, like I said, the daily highs are in the mid to upper 40s. You're gonna have some stretches, sure, where it does get quite a bit colder. It's gonna be closer to freezing, but we don't suffer from those extreme lows and the getting pounded with snow that a lot of other places do. Here in the Seattle area, we average about 5 inches of snow per year. Usually that happens with one quote unquote snowstorm where you might get 4 or 5 inches of snow over 2 or 3 days, and then it melts, and that's your entire snow experience for the whole winter. So snow is basically a non-factor over here. It's not going to affect your daily life. And again, those temperatures aren't absolutely brutal. Of course, we're up here up north still, so you're going to have colder stretches. The nights are going to get colder into the 20s and 30s for sure. But overall, it's a very doable climate. And then we talk about those natural disasters. A lot of people are fleeing areas down south from areas that are prone to hurricanes, maybe somewhere in California where you're prone to serious wildfires that can just ransack through your neighborhood like we've seen recently. Maybe in the Midwest where you're getting hit by tornadoes. There's a lot of things to consider when you're living in a location when it comes to natural disasters. And here in the Seattle area, we just really have not had any large natural disasters that have affected us here in recent years. Yes, you can get affected by wildfire smoke that's being blown over from eastern Washington or Canada or up from California, and it's going to affect the air quality sometimes in the later summer months. But overall, the risk of you and your property being at risk of one of these natural disasters is extremely low here in the Seattle metropolitan area. Now, of course, people are going to point to the eventual big earthquake as we are located on a fault line here. And sure, that could happen. It could happen next year. It could happen in 100 years. Nobody's going to be able to predict it. It is certainly a possibility, but the amount of earthquakes that we get over here that affect your daily life that you can even feel is very limited. The last time I felt an earthquake here was about 20 years ago, the Nisqually earthquake. I was actually in elementary school at recess when we felt this one and have not really lived through a earthquake since then, at least that you can feel. Every once in a while you'll see there's a 2 or 3 magnitude somewhere outside of the Seattle metropolitan area, but you often don't feel those ones at all. So overall, it's a relatively safe area, at least in recent years, when it comes to avoiding those natural disasters. Now, reason number 3 here is the outdoor recreation that's available here in the Seattle metro area. Now, when you're here in the Pacific Northwest, it is one of the absolute best places you can be for that outdoor recreation. Right here in Seattle metro, we have the Puget Sound located on our western edge. So being able to take advantage of being on the water, visiting beaches, taking a ferry over for a day trip over to the peninsula. You can still throw out a boat there on the Sound. You can go fishing, go crabbing. You can even take out a paddleboard on the Sound if you really want to in some areas. But overall, just enjoying those opportunities for recreation right there on the Puget Sound. As we go a little bit further inland, we have lakes all over the place, whether that's Lake Washington right in the middle, you've got Lake Sammamish down south, Lake Stevens up north, and a ton of other small local lakes in a lot of cities here in Seattle Metro. So you're gonna have no shortage of lakeside activities, whether that's just taking the kids to the beach to go swimming, or you wanna, again, launch a kayak or a paddleboard, or take out the ski boat and go wakeboarding or tubing with the family. There's no shortage of lakeside activities here in those summer months. Lastly, as we head further east, we've got the Cascade Mountain Range. So you've got a ton of opportunities, whether you wanna go skiing, snowboarding, snowshoeing, hiking trails are all over the place, mountain biking, no shortage of mountainside activities as well. Now, when it comes to those hiking and trailside activities, you don't have to go all the way to the Cascade Mountains. All over the place here, you've got some beautiful wooded trails in all of these cities in the Seattle metropolitan area that you can go on a quick and easy hike through and just enjoy nature. All right, reason number 4 here is the fact that there's no state income tax. This is pretty self-explanatory. There's not much for me to say here, but we have a lot of people, especially coming from California, that realize they can get a very similar, if not equal paying job here in the Seattle area, but save that 10 to 14% in annual income tax that they are paying in California. So it is a huge reason why people come up here, because the affordability becomes quite a bit better, especially those that are coming from the Bay Area. They get a equal pay job up here in Seattle, and they have more affordable home prices than the Bay Area, and they don't have that state income tax. It becomes a much more affordable option to live up here in Seattle. All right, reason number 5, the last one on the list here, is a family-friendly environment here. Now, there's a couple things that we'll go into here, but the first one is healthcare. So we're one of the best areas in the US for great healthcare. So the Seattle area was recently ranked the 5th best city in the US for healthcare, and that's based on costs, access, and quality of that healthcare. And you can see on this graph here that the costs are actually pretty low, especially compared to even the 4 places above it. So we have great access to healthcare over here. You've got Children's Hospital, which of course, as a parent to a child, it gives you some sense of comfort to have nearby. I mentioned earlier, we have a number of great cancer research institutes. We have eye trauma centers. A lot of people will come over here to the Seattle area from out of the area to get treatment for things that they can't in other locations. So overall, you have access to great great healthcare here in the Seattle area. The second part of this category here that I'm going to talk about is education. US News recently ranked Seattle Metro as one of the best areas for local high schools. We have 114 ranked schools, and 39% of those are in the top 25% nationally. You have school districts like Bellevue School District or Mercer Island that are always ranked towards the top end of school districts in the nation. Now, on top of those public high schools, we have some great private school options around here all over the Seattle metro area. And then, of course, great universities with the University of Washington, Seattle Pacific, Seattle U, and a few others. Lastly, we'll talk about the youth sports environment over here. I know those that have kids that are involved in youth sports often are looking for a place where their kids can really get plugged into the sport of their choice and in a well-run and competitive league. And that is certainly the case over here. Whether your kid is interested in soccer or basketball, baseball or softball, volleyball or gymnastics, no matter what the sport is, there are some great leagues around here, and it's a good location to get those kids plugged in. All right, well, that rounds out the list. Like I said, these are the top 5 reasons that my personal clients have given me on why they are relocating from out of state over here to Seattle Metropolitan. If this sounds like you and you're somebody that's thinking about making a move over here, and one of these 5 reasons or multiple of these 5 reasons is a motivating factor, I'd love to help out with your home buying plans as you transition here to the Seattle area. I love helping out those that relocate over here, and I've done it very heavily for the last 5 years. So feel free to reach out to me here at my info below or click the link in the description to schedule a call with me. Would be more than happy to help. Thanks for watching this one. I'll see you on the next.